Hi, y'all. My name is Dr. Danielle Lewis. This is Finance 447. It's international finance, and I'm going to go over the syllabus today. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen and let you see the syllabus, which is also on Moodle. But we will go through this syllabus so that everybody is on the same page about how the class will roll. The first thing I want to address is that Finance 447 is coded OF this semester for the first time ever. And that means that the course will be administered minimum 50% or more online, and less than 50% face-to-face. So I have got this class, I think, all organized. It looks like it's going to be about 65 to 70% online, and there'll be about 20 to 30%, that is face-to-face. So with that said, I have a room. It is Garrett number 76. Sometimes some people call it Syllabus 76. That's College of Business. But we are scheduled in that room from 11 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays until 12:15. When we are in that room, since it's ours, we can use it. But when we are not in that room, I won't be there, but you can use it if you like. It will be empty. So first thing, how do you get a hold of me? Since this is an online course, a big portion of it's online, I want to make certain that you know that you can get a hold of me best by emailing me. I'll be looking at my emails many times a day. And if I don't respond to you within 24 hours, shoot me another email because something's happened. So with that said, email is, I usually get back to people within, a couple of hours, but if you don't hear back from me within a day, something's gone wrong and need to contact me again. So with that said, I'm going to roll through this. What are we going to study this semester? Well, it's international finance. And we're going to be valuing multinational corporations first off. Pretty simple in a sense that it's very much like what you've learned in your investments class with your corporate classes. We're going to use a model that's the discounted cash flows model. It's just complicated by one issue, and that's foreign exchange. That being that companies that are international in nature have expenditures that are in foreign currencies, and they have revenue streams that are in foreign currencies. And the bigger the multinational is, the more currencies they're dealing with. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how goods, securities, and foreign exchange currency cross borders. So it's a big accounting issue. And so we're going to be talking about things like balance of payments, the international trade flows, international money and capital market flows, as well as these flows of currency. And I'm going to be giving you a lot of information on these kind of bird's eye kinds of issues with these capital flows. There's a lot going on right now in our world that has everything to do with this. Next off, we're going to hit on the foreign exchange markets, and we're going to do that spot markets, futures markets, and then eventually we're going to get into currency derivatives, which are puts and calls. And we're going to be doing strategies as well. So we're going to be hitting on straddles, strangles, and several different kinds of spreads. I might even roll back and do something really simple like covered calls. But those are all going to be issues that multinationals have to deal with to hedge their foreign exchange risk. The issue of exchange rate determination, we're going to go into that as far as the history. Not every country determines their exchange rates the same. The United States is a free-floating country, I think. We say we are, and Great Britain is a free-floating country. That means that we allow markets, supply and demand, to determine our exchange rates between other countries. Not all countries are free-floating. Some are fixed to another currency. Others are pegged. So there's a range of different, a spectrum of ways in which exchange rates are determined. We're going to then move into issues of what I call in general arbitrage, but they are, we go from locational arbitrage, which arbitrage is this idea that is very counter, I think, finance students in general. It's, most people think risk, higher risk, greater return, and that is true. But there are cases of arbitrage where you can take no risk and earn a return, which is counter to what, you know, we think of when we think of efficient markets. But we're going to go through a whole list of different kinds of arbitrage that go on internationally. They include locational arbitrage, just the mere fact that two currencies are trading on two different markets. And in fact, you know, most people think that New York is the center of all finance. Well, it's not. It turns out London is the mecca for the exchange rates and currencies. But there are a handful of places that currencies are traded, and these markets can get off from one another and create an arbitrage opportunity. We'll talk about cross exchange rates, which create the opportunity for what we call triangular arbitrage. Then we're going to talk about a series of parity conditions, which are interest rate parity and purchasing power parity, and which are also dealing in differences in interest rates and differences in exchange rates. And it ties basically three markets together. Those three markets are the goods markets, stuff, currency markets, our exchange rates, and then our securities markets, money and capital markets, in other words. So it's tying interest rates to inflation of goods, to the currency markets. So interest rates, currency markets, and goods markets, they're all tied together. And so understanding how they flow together and where capital is flowing to and from really is important, particularly when you're an international investor. Then we're going to talk about hedging exposures and using those currency derivatives that we learn about, and how to use them to hedge. And that means remove risk. So with that said, I want to make sure that everybody knows where we're going with how you can get a hold of me. First was my email address. Second off, I'm going to be in office hours. And those office hours I've committed to every Wednesday on Zoom from 3 o'clock to 5 p.m. And then also Tuesdays and Thursdays, and those Tuesdays and Thursdays will typically be between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., but it will depend on whether we're in class or online, whether it'll be in my office or in Zoom, and that's all on the schedule, which is below. As we talk here, the Zoom link, you can see right here, that is the Zoom link for all my students. There's about 120 of them, 130 of them. So it's kind of like knocking on my door. When you click on that link, you might find me with another student or with a group of students. If they're from your class and you want to listen in, great. If they're not and you're not interested in what they're talking about, just quietly leave and come back about 10 minutes later, just like you would in my office. If it's a student that I have to have a sensitive conversation with, It may be the case that I ask you to leave and come back later, but it's just like my door being open. It's got a passcode, so only my students are supposed to know that passcode. Don't pass it around to everybody. So we have people bombing in on our office hours. Everything that I have is up on Moodle. So far, your Moodle site is not completely built out. I have a series of asynchronous videos that I'm in the process of creating from scratch. Just really time consuming. So I'm going to probably be doing that all semester long. So unlike my 381 class where everything is already set, because I've already taught that class asynchronously before, those videos are set, yours are not yet. So I am in the midst of creating them. But what you'll find on that Moodle is, and I'm going to go straight to the Moodle so you can see, your Moodle course has been set up, and you can see a welcome module here, which tells you about the course you should read. It's got a little link that you can learn more about me, some of my interest. You'll also see the syllabus up here, and this video will show up in this spot too. Then I have organized this so far chapter by chapter. So each chapter, we're going to have several things in that module. First off, you're going to have the full-blown PowerPoint. This is just comes from the book. If you want to use it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. It is, think of it as the outline for the book. I do use some of the PowerPoints, parts of them in some of the asynchronous videos. Sometimes I don't use them at all, but they do outline the content of the chapter in a pretty brief way. And then of course, you can go to the book and look and see how they cross over. So I would suggest looking at the PowerPoints, but not necessarily dwelling on them. Watch the asynchronous video first. If there's something you don't understand, you can go to the PowerPoint and then to the book. One way that I'm going to hopefully get you really involved in this class is by having an ongoing case study. And that case study is going to have every chapter involved. So a big portion of your grade is going to be this case study, and you'll see every chapter will have case study questions. So you can see here, there's actually two files that have case study questions, and I'll just open one of them up here for you to see. They pertain to chapter 1. This one does. And I ask you a series of questions. And what I want you to do is fill out these questions, not in full sentence form, but just kind of a outline form, a bullet point form. I'm not looking for grammar here. I'm looking for ideas. And so you're going to be assigned a company. Everybody has the same sort of company. I'll explain this later, but everybody has a different country that they are got a subsidiary in. And so with that said, with that company, you're going to be looking at these case study questions and viewing them through the lens of that company that you're running. And every chapter, you're going to answer a series of questions. Sometimes there's only one or two, other times there's 5 or 6 questions to answer. And there's a schedule on when you turn this in. I will close this up, and also on the Moodle, you'll find, and I just left that, something called a board. And this is just a board in which you have a topic thrown out. And I've thrown out a couple topics already. I will do more. I'll probably do about, I'd say 12 maybe, or maybe 14, kind of depends on how many people I can get on board as far as some of our former students to interact. But I'm going to throw out a topic, and I want you guys to interact on this link. And so, for instance, I found this article has to do with interest rates. And I wanted to find out from you how you think that these interest rates in the country that you're assigned to with your company versus the United States, how that interest rate dynamic is impacting your company. And I give you a handful of ways interest rates are affecting businesses. There's about 8 ways or so. And I want you to go through that and think about it. And since everybody's assigned a different country, everybody's going to have a different answer. And so these message boards, I want you to interact with one another, and I want you to learn from one another and recognize that you're all coming from different countries and they all have different issues. And so for every 1 point that you make, that's a material, good point that adds value to the conversation, you'll get 1 point out of a total of 10 that you can earn. And there'll be about 12 to 14 chances to do this. So how will I grade this? Well, for every good point that you make, you'll get 1 point, and there'll be a total of 10. So if you make 9 good points, you'll have a 90 out of 90% on that portion of your grade. But every one of these chapters will be set up just like that. What's missing out of this right now are the asynchronous videos that you also see up there. And that will be typically at least a short video from me, and then possibly other videos that I have come across that explain things really well on our topic as well. So this first chapter has to do with international trade, licensing agreements, the decision to franchise, the decision to get a joint venture with another company to help out. And so I've got videos in which I'll put up there for you guys to really understand what a franchise is, what the differences are between franchises and licensing agreements and joint ventures, and actually renting or owning or building physical brick and mortar in another country, and what risks are you taking. All right, so every chapter is set up like that, and with a different topic, but with the same sort of structure. Go back and find the syllabus here. Make sure everybody has the prerequisites down for the class. Finance 381 is the only thing that you have to be in the class. We have a textbook that you should have. It's called International Financial Management by Jeff Madura. During exams and also outside for your project, your case study, you'll need access to Excel. So hopefully you have that on your laptop. If you do not use our computing labs. Also, I would highly recommend Bloomberg. You're going to find that really useful for this project. Downloading a series of exchange rates historically is really easy in Bloomberg. You can do that on a number of sites, though, on the internet, but Bloomberg is really great, and you can learn what's going on in your country real time, as we have a real time sort of case study that's going on. Everybody has the same business, but in different countries with different events happening. So with that said, Bloomberg can be very useful in kind of keeping up with that. Now, here's what everybody probably is interested in, is that's grading. You're going to have 3 midterm exams. They're going to be each worth 20% of your grade. There's going to be a set of 14 case study questions in which you're going to turn them in at various points. I think I have about 3 or 4 turn-in points. And that all those case study drafts are going to be worth 15% of your grade. Then you're going to write up the entire case study into one document, in words, not just bullet points or in an outline form, but in words as actual case study. And that's going to be worth an extra 10% of your grade. So that project is worth 25% of your grade. Then there's going to be in-class sessions in which I'll take roll. That roll will be 5% of your grade. And then the participation discussion boards, those will be 10% of your grade. So with that said, I promise the grading scale will be at least as generous as a 90, 80, 70, 60 scale, but in the past I've oftentimes curved. And so I will kind of keep you up with my thoughts on, do I need to curve or do I not need to curve? And what does a curve look like? But I won't commit to a curve until the very end of the semester. But I will keep you in the loop as far as how my thoughts on that. All right. So with that said, I think the rest of this has to do with, what do the midterms look like? They're going to be short answer questions. There's going to be 3 of them. Each of them are going to be 20%. The drafts are going to be from those documents that I just showed you from the case study. You can put them in bullet point, kind of outline form, big idea kind of things, put in graphs, if you will. Each one of those are going to be due at 11:59 p.m. on the date that they're due. And I will give you, if you give me a Word document, I will actually comment within that Word document, to ask you questions like maybe fill in blanks or tell you did something wrong or, something to improve so that when you turn in the final draft, it will be much better. That final draft, the case study, is your final project, and it's due Thursday, May 4th at 11:59 p.m. And I have all the rules, should be double spaced, no more than 10 pages, which is probably going to be kind of tough to do, to keep it within 10 pages. I'm not including the title page or references in that, but you should have a title page and reference list. And be cited as you would normally do for a project. As far as the participation boards, I think I went over that already as far as how I'm going to do that. There's going to be probably 12 or 14 boards, and you need to make 10 good comments. And if you make 10, you'll get your full points there. Your attendance is 5%, and that is if we have 10 classes that are in person and you show up to 9 of them, you get 90% on your attendance. As far as this ongoing case study that you're going to be dealing with every chapter, the background on this is that each one of you is going to be running a business and you're going to be teaching English in a non-US country. And so each one of you, I've assigned a country to. It's in a spreadsheet on Moodle, and it's right by the syllabus, so you can see. But you're going to be each have, I think there's about 30 of you in there, and there's 30 different countries. And so this is a very basic case study, yet the questions and the issues that you're going to deal with are very much like what a large multinational company would actually be dealing with. So hopefully that will get you into the content of the material, make you get some ownership of it, if you will. I go on with the background here, but you are an American, of course, living in the United States. You've invested $60,000 of equity capital into this company, and you've established a school in this foreign country to teach them English, and it's going to have an office and it's going to have an attached classroom. And initially, you're leasing you're renting this space. As we go along, that's going to change, or you're going to have the option to change that. You're going to hire local individuals. You're going to pay them in the local currency. We'll call that the functional currency. And these people are going to be the teachers who speak both English and whatever foreign language is being spoken in the country you're assigned. Your school is going to have 2 different offerings of English language courses. One's going to be a longer 1-month course, and the other one's going to be a short 1-week, really intensive course. You're going to have some expenses, of course. You're going to be paying those teachers in the local currency, but you're also going to be advertising. So that will be in the local newspapers and will be in the local currency. All the revenues and expenses associated with your business are going to be in the local currency, so foreign exchange. Your expenses are going to be pretty flat, or in other words, kind of you know them. It's easy to forecast because your expenses are your rent and your payroll. What is not necessarily known and will be more volatile is your revenues coming in, and that's going to be really down to how many clients are going to sign up for your courses. So with that said, this gives you the baseline of your company, and this is going to enable you to be making all the decisions in which you're going to be asked to make. And there's going to be, a whole series of 8 or 9 sets of questions in which we'll walk you through what a normal multinational corporation faces, and walk through those decisions as we walk through the textbook. So with that said, I think this is the schedule in which I plan to stay on. And what we have here is important due dates. Those are when your case studies are due, when tests are due, gives you the date, the day of the week, also whether it's online or whether it is in class. You can see here in red, that's when it will be in class. Our first in-class session will be January 31st. So by January 31st, you will have gone through chapter 1 and most of chapter 2, or some of it. And I will have asynchronous videos up there for you to watch, PowerPoint, case study questions in which you should be prepared to come to class and basically tie up any loose strings. Questions from the back of the book are the best way to study for the exams. I typically take questions from the back of the book, change them up, make them so that maybe you don't recognize them so well, put them in a different form, but they're the same topics. And so the questions from the back of the book are a great way to study for the exams. And then your case study questions, the class will be there to kind of throw the ball around for people to kind of, think. I want you to work together, but you're all independent as well. So, talking with classmates about how you're handling the questions is a great thing. I have no problem with that. Come to class asking those questions as well. But there's going to be some data gathering you're going to be needing to do. And I'm going to give you some websites that are really good for that, plus the Bloomberg Lab. But you can see on this schedule, it's in red if we're in class, it's black if we're in online. You can see on the farthest column, these are my office hours. And at this point, the office hours when we are online will be from 9 to 11 in the morning, Central Time. That's the same case if we are in person, except for I'll be in my office. I won't be on Zoom. And so with that said, it doesn't get too sketchy until March 25th. March 25th is when I leave the country, and I'm not just 1 hour off or 3 hours off. I'll be 17 to 19 hours earlier than you. So March 28th, my office hours, I'm leaving them to be announced. I believe they're going to be from 3 o'clock your time to 5 o'clock each day on Tuesdays and Thursdays by Zoom. But I want to make certain that that is going to be appropriate. So bear with me once March 28th rolls around so that we can make sure that we can connect on those Zoom links. But other than that, that is the schedule, and you can look on any given day, so that you can figure out your work schedules, figure out your, basically time management issues that you're going to be dealing with. The only last two things I'd say is missed exams. If you miss an exam, if you have university approved excuses as they are outlined in the university handbook, I'm happy to write you a new exam. If not, then it's a 0 if you don't have a university approved excuse. As far as homework problems go, the homework problems are not due, but they are very good for the test. So I would suggest working all the back of the chapter questions, or as many as you can. And I have all of the solutions posted on Moodle. And besides that, it's just all your typical policy statements in which every syllabus should have for all your classes. And if there's any comments, concerns, or anything like that, just shoot me an email and we can get together and figure it out. So hope to see you soon. January 31st, I think, is our first time that we'll see each other. And I'm going to put these videos up so you'll recognize me in the hallway. And meantime, peace out.